I believe that art should return to its nation of origin. Of course, I believe that. And like all about retribution on all types of fronts. But that's not exactly what he's doing. He is taking art just to go to him. I think the message is not wrong, but I don't think that he believes that.
Yes, I agree.
As evidenced by the fact that at one point he was trying to minimize the effects of his crimes and saying, I think they were only worth 30 million. And then once he got to prison, he was like, yeah, some of that stuff I stole was worth 2 billion. I was like, no, you've undercut yourself, sir.
You've undercut yourself. Welcome to The Stacks, a podcast about books and the people who read them. I'm your host, Tracy Thomas, and it is the last Wednesday of the month, which means it is the Stacks Book Club Day. Today, we are discussing The Art Thief, a true story of love, crime, and a dangerous obsession by Michael Finkel. We have brought back comedian, TV writer, and host of the Petty Crimes podcast, Ceara O'Sullivan. In our chat today, we talk about the insane story of Stefan Breitwieser and his girlfriend, Anne-Katrine Klein-Klaus, and the up to $2 billion worth of art they stole in a 7-year period across Europe. There are a whole bunch of spoilers in today's episode, but this is nonfiction, so you can listen at your own risk. A quick reminder, everything we talk about on each episode of The Stacks can be found in the link in the show notes. And if you like what you hear today, you should consider joining the Stacks Pack, which is our online community on Patreon at patreon.com/thestacks, and checking out my newsletter, Unstacked, at tracythomas.substack.com. Both of these spaces give you perks, exclusive content, bonus episodes, plus you get to know that you are making this show possible every single week. All right, now it is time for my conversation with Ceara O'Sullivan about The Art Thief by Michael Finkel. All right, everybody, it is Book Club Day, and we are discussing The Art Thief, a true story of love, crime, and dangerous obsession by Michael Finkel. And we have brought back the wonderful podcaster, comedian, writer, Ceara O'Sullivan. Welcome back, Ceara.
Hey, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited you're here. I'm so excited to talk about this book. I have a lot of thoughts and opinions. Before we dive in, I just want to let people know we will be spoiling the book. So it's nonfiction. You can probably Google a lot of this, but if you don't want to know what happens with Stefan Breitwieser or whatever, pause, read the book, and come back. Let me give people a quick rundown. Basically, this book is the story of Stefan Breitwieser. I'm going to say Breitwieser. I'm going to go with Breitwieser. That feels right. Who was a very prolific art thief in the 1990s and early 2000s. He stole potentially up to $2 billion worth of art.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, and it was just a casual, silicone slice here, drop it into the pants there. And he just was racking it up. And then he eventually gets caught, as I'm sure you would imagine if there's a book about him. And then we get a little trial. Oh, and he does all of this with his girlfriend, Anne-Katrine Klein-Klaus. Lincoln Klaus. I don't know. These names it's a struggle. They're from Alsace, which is French and German. So that's why you're getting Anne-Katrine Klein-Klaus.
Yes.
I'm already so chaotic for this one. Oh, it's not Klein-Klaus. It's Klein-Klaus. Anne-Katrine Klein-Klaus. Anyways, Ceara, we always sort of start like this for book club. Generally, what did you make of the book?
I enjoyed it. I'm not somebody who reads a ton of nonfiction.
Okay.
And I liked this story. I thought it was interesting. It's one of the things that interests me with the difference between with a nonfiction book is I kind of know exactly how this story is going to end from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
The fact that as you've already said, the fact that it is a book and it is called The Art Thief, I already know that this person has been caught, even if it's posthumous. This person has been caught.
Yeah,
it's an interesting task for the author to manage to build tension and maintain intrigue. And at a certain point, I was like, I think I understand why this book is 220 pages long, because that's all you get.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though like there were, and there were really interesting twists and turns along the way to his personal story. Like I really found in the last 50 pages, a lot of things really interest me.
Yeah.
Like after he goes to jail, when Anne Catherine is in the trial and she announces that she's pregnant with a 19-month-old baby, and he does the math and realizes that she got impregnated 10 months after he was first put in jail. I was like, okay, that's a good twist.
Yeah, surprise.
This is worth a book. And then the new girlfriend and like her different reaction as opposed. Also, some last little tiny thought in my general thoughts category. Sorry, my vibe is chaotic too. I did think it was interesting what Finkel tried to he tried to like, because every character needs an arc, right? Like I write for television, I write for movies. Every character needs an arc, even if it's like a tiny character in a movie and their arc is that at first they don't drink milkshakes with a straw. And at the end, they're like, you know what? Straws aren't so bad. Like an arc can be anything. And I feel like he tried to give this main character the tiniest arc when at the very, very end, he is looking at a piece of art and then he just picks up a brochure. But I was I don't buy it. No. Everything you've told us about this man is that he has not changed one single bit. And this anecdote is flimsy. And no, he has not changed. So you might as well have excluded it.
Okay, so we're going to talk about Michael Finkel because I found out some interesting information about the author, which we will get to. But I was pretty into this book. This book to me feels like nonfiction for people who don't love nonfiction. I feel like if you are a novel person, this book has all the things that a fiction person would like. It's got wild characters. It's got twists and turns. It's got, a little bit of history, a little bit of context, but mostly it's just sort of a plot-driven little story. It's we go here, we do that. And so I liked all of that.
Some good like world building in the first few chapters.
Totally.
You really ease your way in. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of parts throughout the book where you're just like, excuse me, what? Which I think is always great if you're not reading nonfiction to learn something, you really do need to have characters behaving in a way that is, if not badly, at least like engaging.
Oh, yes.
I felt overall this book was a pretty decent yes for me. Like I enjoyed it. I had a lovely time. It is a perfect summer read.
Me too.
Quick, fast. I do have some questions about the writing itself. I have some questions about what Michael Finkel chose to tell us and when. He employed this thing that some writers do where he talks about something that's happened like we already know. And then he's like, oh, by the way, they were a dog. And you're like, oh, well, okay, that now makes sense. And so I feel like and that's partially because we only really get Stefan's perspective, which we can get to. But
yes,
but
we're really short on Anne Catherine's perspective.
And the mother.
Yeah.
And that I think is a challenge for any author, but I also think that I think that's doing some other work for Stefan. The other thing I would say about this book, my other big like top level takeaway is that this book is really a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, that we all have our skills and talents, and that once you find your skill and talent, you should really hold on to that. Like some of us might be really good podcasters. Some of us might be great drawers. And some of us might be world-class art thieves by accident. And
this book, that reminded me of myself because isn't it a truth that like we all love to do things we're good at and we don't like to do things that we're bad at? And this man is like, I love stealing and I hate listening to my girlfriend. And that is what I'm going to do. And I'm like, I respect.
Yeah. It's like, find your niche, like if he was an influencer, they would be like, find your niche, post about that, post a reel about it, post a story, a carousel, a YouTube video, just find he's like Renaissance art theft. Trinkets, yes. Paintings, sure, why not?
Fleming
tapestries.
Specifically. Yeah, not to veer off, but that was a part that really interested me about him is when he seemed to slightly lose his taste.
Okay, we're going to get to that because that I think that is a crucial piece of this story for me. There were a lot of little things in this book that I was like, Michael Finkel, you need to write an entire book about this one moment. Okay, so just quickly to do a little bit of recapping. Basically, we meet Stefan. He is the child in a loving family. His parents are wealthy. Then they get a divorce. The dad takes all the money, leaves the mother destitute. It's Stefan and his mother. The dad is off with a whole new family. This is the villain origin story we get. Stefan meets, he's content with his life of just looking at art and being alone until he meets Anne-Catherine. And they fall in love, and then they steal a piece of art together. And it's hot. They're into it. And Stefan tells us through Michael Finkel, because Michael Finkel is the only American journalist he's ever sat down with, that he loves art so much. He doesn't get any joy from stealing. He is just overcome by the aesthetics of it all. Stendhal syndrome, we later find out, is what it's called when you're overcome physically, emotionally by seeing beautiful art. Very rare, but of course, Stefan has it. And he has to steal. Do we buy this at all? Do we buy that Stefan is stealing because he loves art so much?
I certainly believe that he loves art a lot because he knows a ton about art. You know, and I even in like the author's notes at the end, we learn that when he's in Finkel's hotel room, he identifies like, you know, a 20th century artist who typically works and connects sculptures and happened to just draw this one pic. Like he really knows his stuff. And you know,
in his trial, he like tells the art historian, he's like, well, actually it wasn't, it's not, some of it's not real. And she's like, how did you know that? And he's like, well, you know, I did a little research. And she's like, you know, I always had my suspicions. Thanks so much.
I do believe that he really, really loves art. But can I say, I was thinking about him because I'm like, okay, but you know, a lot of people love art and here's what they typically do. I think there wasn't enough time spent on, I think what he had is closer to being a hoarder.
This is okay.
Because he's truly like, he's hermit crabbing, you know, the way he is like building this treasure trove. Yes. I think it has a lot more to do with the attic and the filling of the attic with precious items. I think
this being the only space he has anymore, right?
Yes.
He loses his home, then his mom finally gets them this house. He gets his space.
Yes.
And one of the first things he steals is this gun that his dad had. This thing that he wanted because his dad had it. I agree. He likes art. Sure. Stefan loves art. The idea that he was not getting joy out of the stealing or that he didn't derive any pleasure from this process is such a fucking lie.
Yeah.
Because throughout the book, we hear about him, you know, he starts to like call the police on himself.
Yes.
After he's left a location, or he leaves these frames around. He's like, you know, it's sort of my calling card.
Yes.
I'm like, if you're not getting off on this, you're not doing that. You're not. If the whole thing is just, I want these pieces so badly, I love them so badly, there's no way you're fucking around like that, dicking around, marking the back of the paintings with your name and your girlfriend's name. You're not doing it. But I even go further, because the whole thing is we're supposed to believe is that he just like doesn't prepare and he doesn't plan and he just walks in and he steals whatever speaks to him. I don't even buy that.
No.
He worked as a museum security guard. You guys, what are you telling me? You're telling me those two things are just totally unrelated? He wasn't casing the joints. He's taking the brochures. He's studying the museums. He's not just looking at the art. He's looking at what the art is encased in. He is planning these heists. And I think that Michael Finkel sort of has his own like kink going on with this story that clouds what information, like he does not do a rigorous journalist job. I don't think. Like I think he wanted to tell this story. Do you know what I mean?
Well, do you think like when a journalist builds a rapport with somebody slowly over time and they've earned their trust, do you think he feels like indebted to him in some way, or he feels obligated to portray him in a you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it must be hard to like spend so much time with somebody and then turn around back around and be like, and here's the truth, honey. Like, I don't know.
So yes, I think that this can happen. However, let me reveal my information I have about Michael Finkel, because I think this is important. In 2002, Michael Finkel was a reporter at the New York Times. He was fired from the New York Times because a story he wrote about African children being sold into slavery was found to be fabricated. He wrote a story about one kid, but it was actually allegedly a composite character. So he had taken other people, and there actually had not been enough research to prove that there were children being sold into slavery in this way. So he gets fired from the New York Times. He basically is, becomes a disgraced journalist. He then finds out, I think in 2005, or soon thereafter, I think he writes the book in 2005, that a man who was suspected of killing his wife and children, I think his name is Christian Longo, when he was on the run in Mexico City, was using the name Michael Finkel as his alias. So Michael Finkel goes to this man in prison. He starts a rapport with him and ends up writing this memoir that rebounds him into being no longer a disgraced journalist.
Wow.
And the book gets turned into a movie with Jonah Hill and not Adam Driver, but the other one that looks like that.
Mm-hmm.
Who am I thinking of? It's called True Story. Oh, James Franco, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think they're sort of a similar look. Yeah.
This movie sounds like a bit of a B-side, but
apparently
they made a movie.
Apparently it's not good. Yes, it's James Franco and Jonah Hill. So this book now, The Art Thief, comes on the heels of these two things. One is a redemption arc for a criminal, and two is a disgraced person getting a second chance. So this makes me have thoughts and feelings about the agenda of Michael Finkel. Because can we trust him? I don't know, maybe. I don't believe once a liar, always a liar, but also we're all liars, right? Like, if you're a journalist, you want to tell the best possible story you can. I think also he is attracted to people who have been discarded by culture, right? Like, Of course he is. And I think my guess, he doesn't talk about how he does it, but my guess is that the way that he gets Stefan to talk to him is to be like, I know what it's like. Like, I've been there. And he endears himself to him in some way, which is a book that I would also love to read. Like, how do you go into this being like, yes, I was once, if you Google me, because if you Google Michael Finkel, it's like, career in 2002, this thing happened, and then everything unfolds. So all of that being said, I come back to your question of, do you think a journalist sometimes goes into these situations and doesn't want to like shit on someone that they spent all this time with? I think, yes, that happened. But I generally think that journalists who write these kinds of books go in and tell their subject, you don't have any control over this. I'm going to write what I want to write. I'm going to find what I want to find. And I don't know.
And tell me what I need to know. Tell me your story.
Yes. Tell me your story, and I'm going to do my due diligence, and I'm going to write the story I want to write. And I'm sure that's what Finkel said, but I also think that Finkel wants to tell a good story.
But it also makes sense now that he's like, this is now a little bit his ethos as a writer, is he's like, I tell a redemptive story about somebody you might consider to be an irredeemable person. Right. And I find what is sympathetic about this person. That makes sense to me.
Yeah. And I Googled him when we picked the book, just to be like, let me just make sure this guy is a monster.
Yeah. Sure.
And I was like, I think this is I don't know. I think being a journalist who lies is pretty despicable. Yeah. I think it's less I think it happens more often than we think. I think journalists fabricate these things a lot. So to me, it didn't feel like an offense that is not worth discussing. But I do think it's a really interesting part of this. Like, I couldn't then read the book without sort of having this in my mind. Yeah. So for those of you who read it and didn't know this information going in, I'm sure it probably changes a little bit. But for those of you who read this book knowing this, I'm sure it also tainted how you read it if you're anything like me.
Although also, like, I think you're right. Like, corner cutting happens in every industry. Journalists are not immune to that, particularly like now you would get caught and you'd know you'd get caught. But like journalists, like in the, in the 90s and earlier, it's happening all the time.
Yeah.
And
Someone won a Pulitzer Prize.
Oh, yeah.
And then they had to revoke it because nobody did the due diligence to find out it was all a lie.
No worries.
Yeah.
But
no
like,
NBD.
But maybe also, I mean, seems like he was really like lambasted. It might have been something that he learned from. So maybe you can really trust this story. I don't know. Two ways to look at it.
I agree. I think that's right. I think it's probably, I don't think there's anything in this book that is untrue or like was a lie. I do think the way that we frame these kinds of men is part of this story. Is part of Michael Finkel's story and part of Stefan Breitwieser's story as well. Okay, so now we all have the same information. That's the only like really shocking thing that I found out in my research.
Exciting.
Yes, I felt like a real journalist. My God. And all of that you can find on Wikipedia, ladies and gentlemen.
Could you believe?
I also listened to some things on NPR. I did a little bit of research. I didn't go full Michael Finkel here. I just did a little halvesies. Okay. So where were we? Oh, we were talking about, do we believe that this guy is, this sort of
like what's going on here?
Casual, just thief. I cannot buy it. But one of the arguments that Stefan makes that I would like to talk to you about is that it's this conversation of who owns art. The story of art is stealing is something that Stefan says. He talks about how, the colonizers, they plunder. We know this to be true. We know that museums are filled with art and artifacts from all over the world that do not belong to the nations and people that they belong to. So what is your feeling about the actual criminality of Stefan's crimes?
So my feeling is, and something like I think that like I hold dear in my own life is based on this children's book that was read to me when I was a kid called What If Everybody Did? And, it just kind of lets you know, like, hey, the reason we don't throw trash out the backseat window when we're in a car is because what if everybody did? Like, here's what the world would look like. And, there's sort of like this tacit code of ethics. And there's, laws that stop us all from doing the things that, like, wouldn't it be nice to go to a museum and take something and then put it on your wall at home? Sure, it would be awesome. And we could all do it. And then there would be no museums at all.
Yeah. So intellectually, I think I fall more on the side of Stefan here. Like, to me, I'm like, okay, like if you want to steal the art, you can steal it back. Do your thing. But I don't buy the argument from him.
You don't think that's why?
I just don't think that he has the radical politics to be a person who is doing this for a political sort of, like he's not doing this because he really wants to stick it to the art world and say, you all stole this from Egypt, so I'm stealing it back. He's also not stealing artifacts that are from other places. It's not.
No, only things that are like Flemish.
Yeah, it's like the Flemish things he wants. And so while his argument to me is like a sound argument, right? Like, I agree. Maybe we shouldn't be stealing other people's artifacts, locking them in a building, and then charging people to come see these things, right? Like, I understand that maybe art should be accessible to people, especially art you stole. That being said, I don't think Stefan is necessarily the messenger on this one. I don't think you're stealing it as a Robin Hood situation, because not only are you then locking it up in your house, you're locking it up in you're not even letting your mom see it. Only you and Anne Katrine can see it. Like, that's not bringing art back to the people.
Well, also, like, I believe that art should return to its nation of origin. Of course, I believe that. And like all about retribution on all types of fronts. But that's not exactly what he's doing. He's taking art just to go to him.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I agree with it philosophically. I'm not going to lose sleep over someone stealing art from a museum because, like, the poor art and, like, what will we do? Like, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But I also find him to be a particularly interesting messenger because I don't buy that that's why you're doing it, my guy. Like, I know it's not.
Yeah. I also think, like, given his tastes, all of that art moved to the museum by relatively ethical means. Like
it sounds like people just bought it. I mean,
Yeah.
he does have this argument around like the exorbitant costs of art. And I think like, okay, but also artists deserve to be paid as much as the market will bear. I mean, if you want to take on capitalism, like let's do it, babe. But that's like, I don't feel like that's what he's doing either. So to me, like, I think his arguments are sound. Like, I don't have a problem with it. I just don't believe that that is his motive. And for him to sort of pretend like it is just like, Stefan,
No.
you're just young. You're just a young white guy who can get away with it. And you're fucking soaking it up. And you're, you know, it's like the people who go out to the protests who are like, yeah, I fucking believe in this. And I'm like, what? What do you, what is this? Define this. So, I mean, but, you know, the museum system, we could update maybe.
Yeah.
We could work on it. We could work on it. Okay. So he and Anne-Catherine, they steal a bunch of stuff. They set up like, you know, some ground rules. If she says no, the thing is off. They just steal the things that really speak to them. They go home, they lay in their attic and they look at the art and they just fucking feel good about it.
Mm-hmm.
They make videos gloating about how great all of these things are. Then we fast forward a little bit. Anne-Catherine and Stefan take his mother to out of town. They go out of town. Quick trip. It's a birthday trip, I believe, but not to be confused. It is also a thievery trip.
Yes.
The mom conveniently goes outside because an important piece of this story to Stefan and now to us is that the mother knew nothing.
Yes, somehow.
Though every indication we get is that the mother actually knew things, including the video evidence that is given to us by Michael Finkel. The mother conveniently goes outside to walk her dogs because dogs are not allowed in art museums, which I feel like this makes sense for me.
Mm-hmm.
They steal a piece. Also on this trip, we find out that Anne-Catherine is pregnant and needs to have an abortion because she's like, I love you, Stefan, but also, no, babe. And
this
the mom
was
is
one
like,
of those moments
no.
that you talked about where the order that he tells us the thing in is interesting.
This is one of those moments. A lot of the moments like this happen around Anne-Catherine and the mother because I think that's the only way he can thread the needle and telling the story without just giving up all the information because he doesn't, because we don't get the thing where it's like there's two sides to the story. So we hear Stefan's side and then we hear Anne-Catherine. It's like, nope, we just get. So she's pregnant. She decides, I got to go to the doctor. I don't feel good. And the mom's like, okay, I'll go with you. And Stefan's like, okay, have fun, girls. I'll drop you off and I'll go steal some things. Come back. Great rest of the trip. Everybody goes home. Stefan later finds the receipt or gets a receipt for the
Comes
procedure.
in the mail.
Comes in the mail. He's like, pregnancy termination? Weird. Wait, I remember this day. This is the day I stole the great Bulger the Greater's painting on copper. That bitch. So she comes home. He hits her.
Oh, he goes to her place of work and he hits her. Yeah.
Oh, he goes to her place of work. I thought she came home and he hit her.
Maybe.
It doesn't matter where. There's a hit. He screams at her. She flees. There's a breakup.
Yeah, I have to say, I didn't feel like the storytelling was like particularly deft in this little abortion to domestic assault section. I was like, and I appreciate that maybe he was missing, you know, he only had threads to go off of, but I was like, oh, yeah.
Well, this is the part of the story we're not having anyone else to corroborate here. Like we already have a problem of storytelling, which is that Stefan has exactly one friend who's not his mom and his girlfriend at this time. And it is the art framer guy who just like teaches him how to frame art. And then he goes to him and says 16 by 12, 2 inches deep. And then he goes home and builds the frame himself. Like I'm supposed to believe this guy also didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
Like the idea that nobody in his life had any clue, even though they had all the clues in front of them. Like,
Yeah.
Mom, your whole house, they're bringing home all these pieces of art. And they're like, yeah, we got it at a flea market. And she's like, love this for you, babe. You're such a collector.
He's stealing 5 times a month. And it's like, I have no idea what's in the attic.
Yeah. And also just like, honey, I love you so much. I bet the attic's crowded. Do you want to put any of those pieces downstairs in the living room or in the dining room where we have dinner every night?
Mm-hmm.
Because we're also told that they have dinner every night.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, how was your day today? Great. Just went to the flea market. Where are you getting all this money for the flea market? Don't know. It's really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have a job. And Katrine there's just, I can't believe that the mom doesn't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think part of the reason that this part of the storytelling gets so slim is because we only have to go off Stefan, and we know that he's lying about a lot of this stuff because he lies about it later in the story on record.
Mm-hmm.
So they break up, and to me, this is the part where we go from this is the moment that we get the beginning of the taste changing.
I absolutely agree. Yes.
Because Anne-Katrine does come back to him and she's like, there's new rules. Oh, wait. No. I'm sorry. She does come back to him. Then they go to Switzerland and get caught. Or did I transpose those? Do they get caught in Switzerland first? I fucked it up. I know what happens. There's the pregnancy. Then they go to Switzerland and get caught.
Mm-hmm.
Then the receipt comes in.
Yes.
Because she is stressed out about being with him after they get caught in Switzerland, but she like doesn't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get caught, then he beats her up, and then they break up. When they come back together, I'll go back to them getting caught in Switzerland because that's not nothing. When they come back together, she puts down ground rules. She says, you got to wear gloves.
I know.
No going to Switzerland, no stealing in Switzerland. And I think those are basically the rules, right? Am I forgetting one?
Mm-hmm. That's it.
I think that's it. Those are the important ones.
It, to me, like, this is when because I was really, the whole book, I was thinking, what's going on with him? What is it? And I really think it was an addiction to stealing. And this is the most, I felt like, okay, this is an addict and this is an addict's partner, where like the stealing is the problem. It is so obvious. It is the problem. She is not addicted to stealing, but her partner is. So she is engaging in the practice of heavy stealing. So like her lifestyle has been affected. She is starting with these ground rules that are somewhere along the lines of like, can you just not drink in the mornings? Can we just not steal in places that there are security cameras and it's crowded? And then as it's intensifying, the ground rules are getting worse. But at no point is she doing what actually needs to be done, which is no more stealing at all. It's just that like she's making more rules and she's making it more difficult. And another reason I felt like it was showing itself as an addiction is because what ended up, the straw that broke the camel's back wasn't actually a stealing moment. It was like this domestic assault incident, which like, that is what's going on in the addict's brain. Everything's so addled, the priorities, and it ended up resulting in this, symptom of the addiction.
Right. Because their relationship is not just a relationship about two people. The stealing is like this other part of their relationship. Because when they're broken up, he steals nothing.
Yes.
Later on, he does steal things by himself. And earlier on, there's a few times where he steals things by himself, like when she's getting an abortion. Mm-hmm. But while they're broken up, he steals nothing. Mm-hmm. And then when they get back together, he starts stealing ugly, stupid shit.
Yes.
And I feel like, so my psychoanalysis as a professionally licensedly trained therapist, we say licensedly trained. That's sort of like the lingo, is that the fear of losing the ability to steal / be with the girlfriend turns it into the hoarding. Before there was discernment, before when they were in it together, there was always like, we're in this together. We can take what we want. Like this is like this sexy thing. And then when she goes away and this whole thing disappears, when he's able to do it again, that's when it becomes like full-fledged addiction. That's when it becomes
Wow.
full-fledged hoarding, because he couldn't do it, and he realized how much he had to do it. He like wasn't living his life without doing it. And so then he's like, fuck it. This could go away at any moment. I'm going to just steal. And this is when he starts to get reckless. This is when he starts to steal the ugliest shit, to the point that like later on in the book, when there's like this tapestry he steals, and then it's thrown on the side of the road by the mother. And then we find out that the fucking police find it, and they're like, this is from a flea market. This is trash. Like, everybody who finds his art later on is like, this is literal trash. I'm going to put it on my chicken coop. Like, he's just, and like, Anne Katrine's like, we already have one of these. This is the third best one of these.
Gosh.
Like, it's just like, he's out of control. And I think this like shift, this breakup, not the arrest, but the like breakup is the thing. So that's my theory about this whole thing. You know what we should do? We should take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. Valentine's Day is upon us, and I've got love on the brain. Love for books, duh, of course. Hello. Did you forget what podcast you're listening to? I love bringing you all great reads, exclusive author interviews, and behind-the-scenes book gossip. But I can only do that with your support over on Patreon and Substack. Our Stacks Patreon community, also known as the Stacks Pack, is where you can go for book club meetups, a private, very active Discord, and a year-long mega reading challenge to help you achieve all your reading goals. Plus, you also get that monthly bonus episode. Now, over on the Substack, you can subscribe to my newsletter, Unstacked, where I keep the book conversations going. I also give you a healthy dose of sports and pop culture, definitely some hot takes happening over there. And again, that bonus episode. If you don't have a few dollars to spare, don't worry. There are free options on the Substack and the Patreon to get you a little extra Stacks magic. Making this podcast is a total team effort, and by supporting my Patreon and my Substack, you allow me to support my amazing team that makes the show possible every single week. So if you or your friends are looking to meet other book lovers and support this indie podcast, come hang out with me on Patreon, Substack, or both. I would love to have you. And since we're talking about love, you can gift subscriptions to the Patreon and the Substack for that special reader in your life. For the Stacks Pack, head to patreon.com/thestacks. And for the newsletter, head to tracythomas.substack.com. And also, there are links to both in the show notes. Okay, see you in the Stacks. Okay, we are back. Let's continue on with sort of the narrative of the story. And then there's some things I want to talk about. So we've done the hoarding, we've done the abortion. He gets a job in Switzerland 3 years after this arrest. And I guess we should do what happens in Switzerland. In Switzerland, they go to this like art gallery, and they're the only people there. And she's like, don't fucking do it. And he's like, okay, I won't. But then he steals like some painting, and they get out and they're walking on the street, and someone taps them on the shoulder, and it is the art gallery person and the police. And they're like, what the fuck? They get arrested. They get thrown in jail. They're separated immediately. They both say nothing. They both are like, we've never done this before. No big deal. They get off with a, I'm so sorry. I just love the piece so much. I wanted to steal it. We've never done this before. This was just such bad behavior. So sorry. Switzerland is like, okay, a little fine. They spent like 2 nights in jail or something. Go home. You can't come back for 3 years. 3 years later, Stefan is like, God, I'm dying to be employed after not having been employed this entire time. I want to be a waiter in Switzerland.
I would just love a 90-minute commute to my waiting tables job.
And I live in a country called France where we are not known for food or restaurants. So yeah, he drives very far to go to Switzerland. And remember now, the rules post-abortion fight are no stealing in Switzerland, which of course, as you know, Stefan loves a rule. So he immediately starts stealing in Switzerland again.
Yeah.
He also takes her on a vacation to the Dominican Republic, which was just casually thrown in because he's making the most money he's ever made in his life, which makes sense because he's basically had 2 jobs that we know of. One was being a security guard at an art museum, and 2 is being a very high paid waiter at a Swiss restaurant.
I have to say, moments like the 2-week sojourn to the DR reminded me that this story is taking place in the late 90s and early 2000s. Like, sometimes, wouldn't you sometimes forget and be like, I think it's 1910. And then you'd remember like, oh, this is like fully in modern times.
Well, I kept being like, this man is 50 years old. I forgot he was like 25. I think the time period was like fine because like they established that early. But even though they told us at the end of the first chapter, like, and he's only 25.
I know.
I was like, only a 50-year-old man would behave in this way. Like,
yes.
I mean, I don't know any 25-year-old art snobs. I know they exist. I just don't know those people. So to me, this just feels like an old person thing. Not that 50's old. I don't mean that. I'm getting there.
You just mean that 50-year-olds love art.
Yeah, I'm just like 50-year-olds love art. But yes, these moments of like this romantic getaway, I'm like, oh, right, you're 27. Like
you're 27 and like the year is 2001. Like, what is happening?
Yes. It's like pre 9/11. You guys are just bought your tickets that day, just walked up, got on the plane. Okay, so then they come back. They start stealing again together pretty much right away. But then he starts stealing on his own in Switzerland. He starts stealing again. Crap. He goes back, he starts going back to places a lot. He goes to a place he's been to before to steal a 100-foot tapestry. He brings a duffel bag. Crazy. I just like this whole thing. This is like we fully jumped the shark of all the things that Stefan has told us about what he's doing and why. Right? Like it used to be like only things you can put in your pocket. My guy, you brought a full duffel bag that he threw out the window. It's around this part in the book that we also find out that like, I'm taking it because the art needs to be loved and cared for, where we find out that he's super gluing the art, that he's like throwing it out of windows. He's stuffing it under his bed. They're dropping things. They're breaking. Like,
yeah.
The fantasy that Michael Finkel sells us, and I do want to give him some credit because I think that he intentionally sells us this fantasy and respects his reader enough for us to be like, this is not what we were told, right? He doesn't think that we're like that we're believing this anymore. Or like he set it up so that we also can be like, oh my God, everything's falling apart.
Of course, like he tells us about the basket in the bathroom full of bronze sculptures. Like
right. Like he wants us to go on this journey with everybody.
Sure. And it's a change in the character too. Like,
yes, this is part of the arc. I mean, I do think that Stefan Breitwieser has a great character arc. I think it's a full heel turn though, and not a redemptive arc.
Yes.
Right?
Like exactly.
Yeah, we go from like plausible, Robin Hood situation into full bad guy.
Yeah.
Eventually we're in Switzerland again. We're back in Lucerne, the same city that he has been apprehended for. He goes to a museum by himself, gets on a chair, climbs up to the ceiling, and cuts down a Wagner bugle that is, I believe, Anne-Catherine, this is the thing where she's like, we have like 3 of these. This is the worst one.
Yeah.
And he goes back and he recounts the story to her. And she says, but did you wear gloves? Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh my God, oops, I'm so sorry. I'll go back. And she goes, no, I'll go back.
I know.
Would you go back, Ceara?
No.
They have never gone back before.
No. No. I would not have gone back. I also around this time, I really started to question, sort of from the point of him getting the restaurant job in Switzerland, I was like, do you want to be caught?
Yeah. This is what I'm saying. He's into the kink of the stealing.
Yes.
It's not the fucking art, okay?
No. And maybe it was, but it's not anymore.
But it's the stealing. It's
Yeah.
the vibe. It's the thrill. I mean, we get that the first steal, how he talks about like he's so nervous, and eventually the relief comes, and that like every time the relief comes faster and faster. So like to your addiction point, it's sounding like, you know, a hit of something.
Yeah.
But yes, the behavior. But she, if he's to be believed, she is the one who's like, we're going to go back. I'm going to go back in and wipe your fingerprints off 24 hours later.
I know. I think she doesn't trust him. But I don't quite. Yeah. What's your take on that move?
To me, that's fucking crazy. There's only two real explanations for me here. That Anne-Catherine is dumb as rocks, or that this is not actually what happened. That Stefan is lying to Finkel to make the story make sense, or like to make it feel less bad. But
right.
To go back, when the only time I think previous that they've ever like gone back is there was an encounter earlier where they like had to like go in and fix something, but they like they left something, or it was like something very minor, and they hadn't really left the scene of the crime. They'd like forgotten something and ran back in, and then they go have lunch at the museum cafe or something like that. And they realize
something, yeah,
and they realize that like if you play it cool and you eat at the cafe and you say bye to everyone, that nobody suspects you. But this 24 hours later going back thing and him saying that it's her idea, to me, it's fishy. It just doesn't make sense.
I would say a closer version of reality could be he went to the museum, he didn't have gloves, the bugle overtook him, he had to steal it. He brings it home and he's like, I didn't have gloves on, we have to go back. You need to go in the museum and you need to wipe off my fingerprints.
Okay, this works for me. My only pushback on this is I don't think he's been stealing with gloves this whole time. Anytime he's stealing alone, he's not putting the gloves on.
Interesting.
The gloves are her thing. He thinks he's above gloves.
Right. Like
what does he need gloves for? Like he's not getting caught.
It's also interesting because what a nice like tension building device is like the fact that fingerprinting technology is improving as time goes on.
Sure.
So by the end, I'm like, oh my God, buddy. Like we are fully in the age of like, we all have desktop computers. Like put on some damn gloves.
Yes, 1,000%. So however this is to be believed, they go back.
Yeah.
He does not go inside. She goes inside. Then she comes walking out and she's like making faces at him across this park. Like, get out of here, cut it out. He's like, what the fuck is going on with her face? He's apprehended. The police pull up. He's apprehended. This is again another point in the story where we don't know what's happened. Michael Finkel knows what's happened, but we do not. All we know is that he is being locked up. We come to find out that he has been spotted because there was a call out about the bugle on the local news. Some guy who walks this park all the time recognized the jacket that he heard about in the news story. And that's how they find him. That's how they catch him. Because he goes back to the scene of the crime like a fucking idiot. I'm going to skip a lot because we are running out of time and I want to make sure we get to this fucking trial.
Good.
Basically, the guy the police officers who are doing all this art stuff, they're in all these different countries. They're not talking to each other. But the guy in Switzerland who gets Breitweiser is like, something's up. This guy played it really cool with me. I don't know. Then we find out, again, this is something we find out later in the storytelling, that all of this art has been discovered in this canal in France. The detective is like, I'm just going to try it. He floats the picture out. He's like, we know it's you. We know this is your art. Did you steal this? And he's like, if you say that you stole it, you can be free. And he's like, okay, I stole it. And then he's like, what about this? And he's like, yeah, I stole this too. And then he like does it again. And then Breitweiser's like, uh-oh. And he's like, how about all of these? And pulls out 135 pictures from his Polaroid bag. Then we find out that the mother, allegedly working by her own lonesome, empties the attic. She takes all of these tchotchkes Excuse me, Flemish artists, but that's what they are. All these tchotchkes, she dumps them in this canal. Then we find out that all of the paintings have not been recovered. This part of the book was stunning.
This
was awesome. And then we get this scene in the book. Again, another moment where Finkel holds out on us. We get this part of in the book, which I want to talk about, where Bright Weezer is like, we don't know what's happened with the paintings. We just know what's happened with art. And Bright Weezer's like, my mom did this to protect me. Just like if you find out the police are coming and you've got drugs,
yep,
you flush them down the toilet.
Exactly. Or you do them all really quick.
You do, yeah, or you put them in your vagina. And then we find out, then the mom says, I did it to punish him. I hate his art. And we're like, did what? What did you do, Mom? The mom burned the fucking paintings.
Burned them.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars of paintings. So, Ceara, here is my question to you.
Yeah.
Criminal or minimal burning these fucking paintings?
Criminal.
Extremely.
Criminal. I am an art lover. No ounce of this punishment befits his crime. In what world it does, like, it's horrible. It's horrible.
This is petty crime, like, pantheon.
Yes, it is.
Because she does this to be a fucking asshole.
Oh, she does it to be petty. Yes.
Petty. Because there's a version of this where she says, oh my God, I found all this art in my son's attic. I had no idea. Here. Or there's a version where she just drops it in a field and waits for someone to find it. It is the dousing it in gasoline, perhaps, but maybe not because fire is flammable. And just poof, gone. And also, she won't tell anyone what she's done.
The only thing I will say is that it is possible that the mother was doing, you know, what you do when the cops are coming for the drugs and flushing them all away. And she tells us, like, retroactively that she has done it to punish her son. But that could be an excuse
to help her get off.
So that she is not implicated, because what she is doing is destroying evidence.
Yes. Yes. I mean, there is a world. Yes, correct. There is a world that she is protecting her son. This is the best idea she comes up with.
Yeah.
I do think you would have been better off just throwing it all in the canal than fucking burning. The wooden art. That is crazy to me, because I mean, look, you know what? She might not be, I don't know. I can't diagnose her. All I know is that this moment in the book, I was like, are you kidding me?
Oh, gagged. Yeah.
Because the whole time I just assumed the art eventually got back, right?
Yes,
like, that's where Finkel is leading us to.
Yes.
And then we find it in the canal. Great. The art's going back. This is a victimless crime. But it is not a victimless crime.
No.
These beautiful paintings were burned at the stake.
$1 billion worth of paintings were burned.
Just burned. And this to me is the part of the book that I found fascinating.
Yeah.
Stefan is put in jail for his crimes. The mom is, like, given a fine. I don't know. I'm not a prison person.
No.
But if you're going to say one person goes to jail and one person pays a fine, I'm locking up Mother Dearest.
Wow.
I am. She did the irreparable harm. Like, she can't be taken back. Obviously, Stefan got the ball rolling. If not for Stefan, the mom doesn't have access to the art. So I'm just saying, if one person, if it's fuck, marry, kill, but it's really just fucking kill, right? Like, if it's jail or fine.
Yeah.
To me, the mom has done the thing that owes a debt to society. She has destroyed the culture. He just owes me money.
I wonder if it's a matter of, like, the counts against it, because it's been 7 years of, like, 5 times a month. 3 times with a girlfriend, 2 times not, like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And the mom more just, like, one time was like, oops.
Yeah. I mean, correct. And I think it's interesting because they say in the book, in Switzerland, the laws are as such that it's not the crime, it's how you commit it. So if you steal a candy bar with a gun, you're going to get more jail time than if you steal a very expensive diamond.
Wow.
Because the harm to humans, the potential harm to people is the thing that they're after. So his crimes only could have maximum gotten him 5 years in Switzerland. In America, he's still in jail and will be in jail for the rest of his life because America is obsessed with prisons. And also the mom is in jail, and also Anne Catherine is in jail, and also the framer guy is in jail. In this country, they're all buried under the jail.
Yeah.
But in Switzerland, he can get max 5. I think he gets 3, but then gets off because he did good behavior. The mom gets basically nothing. Anne Catherine is in jail for 1 day. I actually, one of the things I ended up loving about this book is I was like, this is a great abolitionist text. Like, I was just like, I know people who read this book are so mad that he did not spend 75 years in jail. And as I was reading this, I was literally like, people are going to freak about this.
Oh, for sure, because he's not in jail and then he keeps stealing more and he goes back for 2 days and then he steals again. And I'm sure somebody reading it is thinking like, if he were only in jail, he wouldn't still be stealing.
Correct. And I'm just like, let him steal the Abercrombie and Fitch jeans at the airport or whatever the fuck he was up to. Stealing at the airport is the most reckless thing. Like, I don't like the airport after 9/11.
Yeah.
Stefan, babe, what are you doing?
He's going through it.
He's going through it. Do we care that he's still stealing?
What I found myself caring about or being interested in the most at the end of the book was the new girlfriend.
Stephanie
was my shining star for me.
Mm-hmm.
I just loved, I loved how like quickly she popped out of nowhere. A month in, she's like, move in with me, babe. He steals something. He puts it on her wall. His whole relationship with Anne Catherine has taught him that like, this is going to be okay. She boots him to the curb, takes an iPhone picture. I guess at this point, she took a
BlackBerry.
She took a BlackBerry
she BBM'd.
picture. Yeah, exactly. She BBM'd this to the cops, and she was like, "Put this man away for a night or two because he stole something, and I'm not with him anymore." I was like,
"I'm not gonna
go, girl."
There. Yes, I thought I loved it. I loved it. Even the dad was like, "Boo."
Yeah,
he was like, "You have learned nothing."
Yes.
What? Okay. If we are in a world such as Switzerland or, a world without prison, is there restitution that we feel like he owes us or society? Is there anything that you would like to see happen to him for his behavior?
That is such a good question. I mean, in the book, he has this like sort of tete-a-tete with therapy. Of course, I would love him to have some like inpatient treatment.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And I kind of think it's about leave it there.
Yeah.
I'm not a prison person, but I oftentimes feel like crimes committed, they like he's miserable in the end.
Yeah.
Like his life fucking sucks. And I'm like, well, that's enough for me.
So this is what I thought of, which actually I thought of because of Stefan, which is that they should force him to actually work as museum security. I thought that was a great idea.
Oh, just his like suggestion at the end of that like ghost written book.
Yes, because it's like Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you have the hackers
poetic.
help you learn how to beat hackers. Like you hire that person to protect these museums because it sounds like there's a lot of very small fixes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he wasn't going into the Louvre and stealing shit. He wasn't like masterminding. He was just walking in and like, lifting up a case.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm just like, let him pay you back by helping make these places more secure. Let him do his like debt to society by taking his skill set and putting it to good use. Because also I genuinely believe if he felt seen and useful and that people were impressed by him and they stroked his ego just a little bit by being like, how can you help us? I bet he wouldn't steal. I bet he would become obsessed. I bet he would become obsessed with catching people who try to steal on his new system. I think he is into the kink of being the best at it, of being the star. Like, they can't get me. I'm so smart. So if you just set him up, give him a little video camera, you put him in a little room and you say, protect this.
See, only thing is like, I just don't trust him enough to believe that he wouldn't have that job and still be stealing.
I think he would, but you know what I think he would do? I think he'd have the job and then he'd go to another museum and steal and then be like, you should hire me.
Oh my God.
Because then he would be able to get off on being like, I did steal this thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, he has a skill set. We should be putting it to good use. Like, and I think you can't really talk about this guy in this book and not talk about the fact that like this like preppy white boy who's stealing all this billions of dollars of art gets this whole lovely book and like gets this whole redemptive arc from Michael Finkel when there are so many people who have been locked up in jail for literally stealing a candy bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the book is such a like fun little romp until you sit down and think about any element of it for too long. And then you're like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Yeah. And there's all different ways to look at it too, because it is on some level incredible how skilled he is.
Yes.
It is unbelievable. I could not go into a museum and steal a single piece of art.
I couldn't steal a fucking pin from the gift shop.
No.
I don't have the balls, personally.
No. I would turn myself in.
Yeah, the anxiety of the whole thing would be too much for me.
I have such a guilty conscience.
Me too. I've never stolen anything in my entire life.
Wow.
I know.
Impressive.
Christian, my editor, someone said something on this podcast once and was like, I stole something. And I was like, I never stole anything. Christian texted me and was like, you've never stolen anything. I was like, I haven't. I can't do it. So, I mean, and then he also like steals Michael Finkel's computer.
Yeah.
Remember at the end, Michael Finkel's like, I was like, how did you do it? And he's like, did you notice that I just stole your computer?
I know. That was in like the notes on the reporting section. And I have to say, I thought that move, that was the one time I was like, you're a little sexy.
Yeah, I was into it. I was like, take it all.
Yeah.
It is important. So we've alluded to this a lot, but it's important just to at least say this out loud. Anne-Katrine and the mother refused to speak to anyone about everything. And basically, in the end, both of their defenses are like, he's the fucking worst. Anne-Katrine's like, I barely even dated him. The whole time I was with him, I was scared of him. I was basically Stockholm syndrome. It was my personal hell. And as evidenced by the moment I got away from him, I was immediately impregnated within less than a year.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that the pregnancy was part of the defense? Like, do you think she went out and got pregnant because she was like, this will separate me from him?
Wow.
Because we're told that she's no longer, like, very quickly after, she's not with the father.
You know, that wasn't my interpretation. My interpretation is that she really was not healed.
Sure.
And that she was acting very much out of a wound. Mm-hmm. And just, he had left a really big hole in her. And she was like, oh boy, let's put something here.
Yeah.
And,
okay.
And so that was my take on it.
Yours is way better. Yours is much more generous to her. I had some criminal or minimal thoughts about her, to be honest. I was really torn on her because I get it. I'm going to take care of myself first. Yeah, I'm going to take care of myself first. Like, if I can get out of this and sell you down the river, that's what I'm going to do. But I thought it was a little far when he wrote her the letter and she gave it to the parole officer.
Snitches.
That to me was criminal, not minimal. Like, I was literally like, you know what, Aunt Katrine, you could have just shredded it. Like, you didn't have to go and get him in trouble. When she knew that he had now taken on the mantle of lying for her and saying, oh, right, she wasn't there, I don't know her, can't put it on her. And I just feel like she didn't have to do that. Nobody would have known. She could have dumped it in the toilet, could have been gone.
You know, we don't know that much about her new life and her kid and this partner, but I was picturing this letter arriving and the boyfriend seeing it over her shoulder and him being like, Okay. Like, I kind of don't, I sort of see her as like, I don't think she does much without like conferring with somebody else. That was kind of my
You're so much more
on
generous to her than I am. I really wanted her to be a villain, but you're swaying me. I also think, like, if she is to be believed, like if her story that he was really scary to her, and if all of that is true for her, then I understand it.
Yeah.
The picture we get of them, though, again,
I know,
is all through Stefan's vision, except for we do get a little bit that like the people around her knew that they were together, but we don't, they don't have friends, they don't have a community. The only person she even has in her life, it sounds like, is his mom. Like, that's who goes with her to get her abortion, right? Like,
sad. That's really sad.
Really sad. So maybe because we're only getting Stefan's side, he was a bigger menace than we know. And so,
yeah, have to imagine, because from his point of view, we've learned about the abortion and it was already sad, and we've learned about the domestic incident and it was already sad, and like if he told us about one, she would have told us about 5, no doubt, or more. So like, I think
you're right,
things were really shitty for her, and I think her turning that letter into the cops was her being like, this pattern is broken.
Yeah,
I don't fuck with you. I'm awake now. And I
minimal. Minimal.
I was happy for her in that moment, I have to say.
Okay. I've been swayed. I was wrong. I'm wrong. I can take that. I just think, I'm always looking for a villain. I love a villain.
Oh yeah.
I'm always want someone to be the asshole. And I feel like I would have liked them both to be monsters as opposed to her being a victim. It's more fun to enjoy the book.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. I think that's everything. Would you watch this as a TV show or movie?
Yes.
I would watch the shit out of this.
Definitely.
Who do you cast as Stefan and Aunt Katrine?
Okay, so I looked him up because I was like, let's see. And I do think when he was 26, he was probably a good-looking guy.
He was okay, maybe.
He was okay.
Not my type. Well, they kept being like, he's so small and slight. And I was like, I'm tall, so I was sort of like, not for me.
I know, there's like a couple different ways you could do it. Like, it could be like a Kieran Culkin.
Yes.
But I think, knowing Hollywood, we would probably get like an Ansel Elgort.
Oh, okay. I think it could be, the problem about Kieran Culkin is he's a little too likable. He's a little too endearing. Like, he's too quirky. You need someone who's like more recluse, someone who's like a little more, could be handsome, but like weird.
Okay.
Like kind of ick. I don't know. Well, you know who it could be, who's sort of hot, but I think could maybe do ick if we gave him a chance.
Tell me.
Is Jeremy Allen White. Do you think he could be ick?
Yeah. Jeremy
But he still got
Allen
hot, but I think he could play like a real, locked in cuckoo bee.
Also, I'm thinking of the actors who were in Challengers with Zendaya last summer, and they sort of like spurned that trend of rat boy summer. I think it's Mike Feist and Josh O'Connor. Like, either one of them.
Yes. And then for the gal, who knows? I could never find a picture of her.
Just some gorgeous wallflower, right?
You think? Okay, I couldn't tell. Yeah, sure. I don't know any young lady actresses, I feel like, by name, except for the people who were in Euphoria. But like in her heyday, maybe like a Brie Larson.
Yeah, I think so.
Maybe, I don't know.
And Anya Taylor-Joy.
She's too like interesting looking.
Okay,
like she's too striking. She walks into your museum, you're like, who is that?
Yeah, but it's Hollywood, so every character is going to be hot.
True. That's true.
But she's doe-eyed.
She's like
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Doe-eyed. Yeah. What about that girl that everybody loves who I don't think is very good? Florence Pugh. People love her.
Yeah.
I don't love her. She's not my fave. But she's very pretty. But she also could kind of maybe blend in if you made her a brunette.
Yeah, and she can play very demure, and then she can really come up.
Yeah. Maybe her. I don't know. I'm so bad at this kind of actress. Is like really, again, I love a villain story. So I'm looking for the movies where women are allowed to be awful. Anything else that we didn't talk about that you're like, we have to talk about? I feel like we got to everything. I hope.
There was one section I marked, one little quote that just like stood out to me. It's on page 104, where he really talks about Finkel, that is, talks about how art contradicts Charles Darwin's theory of natural selection.
Yes.
And that which states that a species survives on a hostile planet chiefly by eliminating inefficiency and waste. Creating art consumes time, effort, and resources without providing food, clothing, or shelter. Many art theorists now believe that the reason for art's ubiquity is that humanity has overcome natural selection. Our big brains have been released from the vigilance of evading predators and seeking sustenance, permitting our imagination to gamble and explore. It exists because we've won the evolutionary war.
Yes.
And I just was like...
And isn't there like one little part that's like art means we're free or something like that? Art means freedom.
Yes, yeah.
I love that. My thing was, though, I was like, but people, artist type people who are creatives need to make things to be like, okay. So I was thinking that it might have actually had an evolutionary like purpose in the sense that certain kinds of people could only function if they were able to have like an outlet for the rest of their life.
Of course. I'm a writer, and like making art saves my life every day.
Yeah. But I'm like, maybe that's, I feel this way about like making things too, but I'm like, maybe that's because I don't have to hunt. Like I have no concept of like, if I had to like get berries and I had to know what kind of berries. But I definitely flagged that part too. I was like, this is very interesting.
Yeah, it was just so striking. And also to read something about art in the middle of a book, which is in and of itself art. And, I was like, that's just really interesting. And also like the intersection of art and commerce is so interesting. Yeah. And like the idea of putting value on something that somebody's made and ownership and just all of that. I was really excited about those themes.
Yeah, I think there's these two parts of this book, right? It's like, what does this book bring up for you? And also what is happening in this book?
Exactly.
And I feel like, we talked about the like punishment part of it and also the sort of like argument about stealing art because art has already been stolen. And I think, I think part of Breitwieser would be like to say that, putting a price on these things is criminal and that he is like vindicating that by taking it, like subverting these ideas. And again, so we can end here, but I'll stand by my point. He is the wrong messenger, but the message is not wrong.
Yeah. I think the message is not wrong, but I don't think that he believes that.
Yes, I agree.
And I as evidenced by the fact that at one point he was trying to minimize the effects of his crimes and saying, I think they were only worth 30 million. And then once he got to prison, he was like, yeah, some of that stuff I stole was worth 2 billion. I was like, no, you've undercut yourself, sir.
You've undercut yourself. Yes, of course. He's just like a little weaselly guy.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. He's just a weasel. He's bright weasel.
And he never, ever learned his lesson.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Be sure to listen to the end of today's episode to find out our July book club pick. And Ceara, thank you so much for being here. This was so much fun. This was the absolute perfect book for us. I loved it. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Tracy. I really enjoyed it. And if you like listening to stories about petty bullshit, you should listen to Petty Crimes.
Yes. If you like this at all, you got to go listen. Even if you didn't like this, you should probably still listen because they do it much better over there. Their criminal and minimal section is much better than my chaotic one.
I think your podcast adds a few brain cells and ours will take a few away.
Listen to me on the podcast where you could have all your brain cells disappear instantly as I pretend to be a French champagne lover.
I love
everyone else, we will see you in the stacks. All right, y'all, that does it for us today. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you again to Ceara for joining the show. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to Amber Watson, Leslie Guam, and Jackson Musker for making today's episode possible. And now it's time for what you've been waiting for, the announcement of our July book club pick. It is Toni Morrison month yet again, and we are reading the final novel by Toni Morrison, God Help the Child. The book explores the ways childhood suffering can shape adulthood, and we will discuss the book on Wednesday, July 30th, so tune in next Wednesday to find out who our guest will be. If you love this show and you want inside access to it, head to patreon.com/thestacks and join the Stacks Pack, and check out my newsletter at tracythomas.substack.com. Make sure you're subscribed to The Stacks wherever you listen to your podcasts, and if you're listening through Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please leave us a rating and a review. For more from The Stacks, follow us on social media at The Stacks Pod on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok, and check out our website at thestackspodcast.com. This episode of The Stacks was edited by Christian Duenas with production assistance from Waikia Freelo. Our graphic designer is Robin McCrite, and our theme music is from Tigirigis. The Stacks is created and produced by me, Tracy Thomas.